All right, well, welcome all. This is a 6 o'clock special session meeting. We do have a quorum. The business before us is to have a public meeting for a hearing on Resolution 12, 2019, food and beverage tax. This says resolution, it's actually an ordinance. Number 12, 2019, an ordinance adopting a food and beverage tax. I'll open up a public meeting. Anything from the public? Not all at once now. Yes, your name and what do you do?
Cody Sheets. Live at 1208 Meadowwood Drive, so some of you guys know me. I just wanted to say that personally I'm for it. My wife and I like to go out to eat quite a bit, maybe 1 to 2 times a week. We go to places like Avon and Indianapolis. I wasn't even aware that they had a beverage tax there. And after learning, it hasn't changed my opinion at all. If Danville adopted one, it also wouldn't change my opinion. And I feel like the money could be well spent on stuff like sidewalks and parks that could really help the town out in a variety of ways. So, like I said, I for one am for it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dave, you want to weigh in on this one? This is our special meeting for our food and beverage for the public. Well, this is interesting because I had anticipated a little bit more participation.
Thousands.
Much interest as has been in the media, but it's raining. I would actually like to give it a few minutes, just in case I'm a wee bit late, if it meets with the approval of the council. Jim?
Fine.
Okay.
Got an hour.
Management?
Got an hour.
David can gather his thoughts together as he sits there contemplating his navel.
This does look like a check.
It does.
That's what I thought it was. I was gonna get one if they were giving me.
Would it be appropriate for the council? Or do we want to wait? We should do that in our regular meeting. This is just for the public input. The profit in there in 10 minutes. You can leave.
I know there are people.
That actually comes from our website.
Well, we think that they'll wind up. I just don't feel it's appropriate to keep the
The best thing to always do
or if no one is going to show up.
is to
No,
just
you're
jump
not.
on our main
And then it started at 6 o'clock.
and then just go
We
how
didn't
do
have
I,
a
and then
start
find
stop
anything that's recent.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Right up here in the
I said they're all out there trying to find a parking spot.
I'm gonna go straight.
Chris, you have a dry
You
sense
can
of
see
humor.
all my carpet stuff's on there.
Very good, I like it.
Anything that's heating.
I normally we were going to have this turnout, then I would have stayed at home with my lovely wife on her birthday, but hey, I'm here.
Can't win 'em
We're
all.
here.
But we need you, you're the leader.
Well, no, you guys can,
You're the leader.
you guys can do quite well without me. We've been proving that.
Shortcut
We'll do quite well without me.
We've actually talked about getting some public input on it to see
In perpetuity.
what would make them feel like it's a better
I got a
website
little
for their
hell for voting
usage.
no. Churches left.
If they can navigate through, they can figure
You know
out how to
what?
make a comment.
Winston Churchill once said,
Yes,
you have enemies, that's good, because that means you've stood up for something.
no, we do want to make it more user-friendly. That really is our goal.
Yeah.
And he said, well, ma'am, you're drunk. I'm drunk and I'll be sober
Especially
tomorrow.
when,
And you'll
you
still be
stop
ugly.
and think how many phone calls we receive a
A
day
classic.
That was
on
good.
things that, if our website was easier to navigate, they could just find it.
What a win.
Some of
That would
this
have been
is
a great
okay,
win.
but
Yeah,
we don't spots.
I'm not saying our website's bad. It's just- they're- right.
Think about that.
Are you
No,
able
there
to
it
get
is.
your town emails now?
Just got one more thing to do and I'll get
Okay, you need to get it.
That's why it's
Okay,
Tom
good.
Board Police Commissioner. See,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying, it's just,
this.
no
it's
matter
not
what.
even
No, I've sent a few
Yeah,
things
no
out.
matter what we change, for some reason, it's
Yeah.
not grabbing. Yeah, and it's all in May.
Hey, Will,
Another member of the public. Here to weigh in on the food and beverage tax, sir? Take that as a no.
take this and hook my. Anywhere. Anytime.
Done here in four more minutes.
Oh, yeah. It's just her full blast from the past.
Very, it's a family meeting. At least you have an overseer.
Six, other comments, I'm going to say a few words. Read this so that we have it on record. Close the meeting. Yeah, I saw the light goes off. Do you want to say something?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What is ladies' night out? Does everybody go to that or only ladies? Big sign. Park.
Way past my pay grade. That's a Will question. Ladies' night out.
Ladies' night out.
Asked me about it, I said, above my pay grade.
Oh,
Will, what's ladies' night out?
It's where the ladies get together and they shop. You know, do a
So it's not a whole town thing, it's just girls.
town, girls side. I mean, you could go if you're a guy. I don't
Girl
know if
shop,
there's a-
girl shop, the guys carry.
Yes. You
We're
meet them
paid.
at the
We
end.
pay.
Yeah, I asked them why they weren't having boys' night out. See it the
coordinated.
same way I did.
All right, at 6:10, we've had one public comment. Before I adjourn this meeting, a little bit of information about this particular bill. This originated out of House Bill 1402. It is now part of Public Law 290. It was signed by the Speaker of the House, the Republican Speaker of the House, on 4/23. It was signed by the Republican pro tempore on 4/24. It was signed by the President of the Senate the Republican president of the Senate on 4/30, and it was signed by the governor on May 6th. Okay, so if you're looking for reference, it's going to be Public Law 290. For Danville, this is ordinance number 12, 2019, an ordinance adopting a 1% food and beverage tax. Whereas the Indiana legislature has adopted legislation allowing the town of Danville to adopt a food and beverage tax applicable to certain foods and beverage items within its municipal boundaries. Whereas pursuant to Indiana Code 6-9-50-3, the Danville Town Council is required to hold a separate public hearing where the food and beverage tax is the only substantive issue on the agenda prior to adopting the food and beverage tax. Whereas the Danville Town Council has complied with Indiana Code 6-9-50-3 by holding a separate public hearing where the food and beverage tax was the only substantive issue on the agenda, and whereas to encourage and support tourism by improving parks, trails, sidewalks, streets, and parking, Danville now desires to adopt the food and beverage tax. Now therefore be it ordained by the Town Council of the Town of Danville, Indiana, that the above recitals are incorporated herein by reference pursuant to Indiana Code 6-9-50 et al. The Danville Town Council hereby adopts a food and beverage tax that shall be 1% of the gross retail income received by the merchant from the food and beverage transactions described in sections 4 and 5 of this ordinance. The food and beverage tax is hereby adopted by the council, held a duly noticed public hearing where the food and beverage tax was the only substantive agenda item. Number 4, pursuant to Indiana Code 6-9-50-4, the food and beverage tax shall apply to a transaction in which food or beverage is furnished, prepared, or served, A, for the consumption at a local or on equipment provided by a retail merchant, B, in the town of Danville, and C, by a retail merchant for consideration. Number 5, the purpose of this ordinance and consistent with Indiana Code 6-9-50-4B, transactions shall include those where food or beverage is A, served by a retail merchant off merchant's premises, B, food sold in a heated state or heated by a retail merchant, C, made of 2 or more food ingredients mixed or combined by a retail merchant for sale as a single item, in parentheses, other than food that is only cut, repackaged, or pasteurized by the seller, and eggs, fish, meat, poultry, and foods containing these raw animal foods requiring cooking by the consumer as recommended by the Federal Food and Drug Administration in Chapter 3, Subpart 3-401.11, and its food code so as to prevent foodborne illnesses, close parentheses, or D, food sold with eating utensils provided by a retail merchant, including plates, knives, forks, spoons, glasses, cups, napkins, or straws, parentheses, for purposes of this section. A plate does not include a container or package used to transport the food, close parentheses. Number 6, the food and beverage tax shall not apply to the furnishings, preparing, or serving of a food or beverage in a transaction that is exempt, or to the extent the transaction is exempt from the state gross retail tax imposed by Indiana Code 6-2.5. Number 7, the food and beverage tax shall be applied to the transactions effective September 1st, 2019. 8, pursuant to Indiana Code 6-9-50-6, the food and beverage tax shall be imposed, paid, and collected in the same manner that the state gross retail tax is imposed, paid, and collected pursuant to Indiana Code 6-2.5. Number 9, pursuant to Indiana Code 6-9-50-8, the Danville Clerk Treasurer shall establish a fund known as the Food and Beverage Tax Receipts Fund and deposit all food and beverage tax revenue received from the state, Indiana State Treasurer, into the Food and Beverage Tax Receipt Fund. Number 10, money earned from the investment of money in the Food and Beverage Tax Receipts Fund shall become a part of the fund. Number 11, food and beverage tax revenue shall only be used for the following purposes. A, parks, trails, and sidewalks, street and parking improvements to support tourism in the town of Danville, and B, for economic development purposes, including the pledge of money under Indiana Code 5-1-14-4 for bonds, leases, or other obligations for economic development purposes. 12, any ordinance or part thereof in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. 13, this ordinance shall be in force and effect from and upon its adoption in accordance with the law. 14, the meeting at which this ordinance is being considered and approved has been properly noticed pursuant to Indiana Code 5-3-1 et al. Person number 15, pursuant to Indiana Code 6-9-50-3, Section B. A certified copy of this ordinance shall be immediately sent to the Indiana Department of Revenue, adopted by the town of Danville, the town council of the town of Danville on this blank date of blank 2019, and our signatures. So that is the ordinance. Those are the dates. Any questions, any other comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second?
Got a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Public meeting is closed. We'll start our general meeting at 7 o'clock.